Let's talk about that $10 million question which we have this time of the year. Shall I leave my central heating on all the time or just when I'm in the house? So, as you can see here, last night in Greater Manchester we had a significant snowfall, and at the moment here this morning it is 1 degree outside here, but hopefully you can see the sky is quite clear and the sun is shining over there. So let's get on with it and find out if we can answer this question. Now I'm going to show you what I do, and I am a gas engineer and a trainer of gas engineers. Now first of all, you can see that we've got some snow on the roof and the sun's been shining. So the time now is 10:30 and the sun has been shining on this roof the whole time this morning. And you can see we do have a little bit of melted snow over the backside, but this is a good sign that our roof is insulated. So if you get up in the morning and if you look at our neighbours, you can see they've got quite a bit of melted snow on their roofs, so theirs isn't really insulated as well as ours is. So let's get in the house and see exactly what I do with our heating system. Now, first of all, we don't actually turn our central heating off in this house. Technically, we don't. But thermostats and thermostatic radiator valves are key in this. Now, when I say we don't turn the heating off, we do because we use the thermostat. Now what the thermostat does is, when the room gets up to temperature, it turns off your central heating. So if you haven't got a thermostat in your house, then you are wasting loads of energy. So what we do is, at night time, this time of the year, we set our thermostat to 15 degrees. So that means our house does not go lower than 15 degrees. So in the night, when it's colder and the temperature plummets inside and outside the house, when it gets to 15 degrees or lower than 15, well, it's about 13, 14 degrees, the heating kicks back in and then heats up the house back to 15 degrees again. When we are in the house, so at the moment, because we're snowed in at the moment, we can't go anywhere, our temperature is 19 degrees in the house. And the radiators, there's hardly any heat in these radiators. They're not bouncing because what I've done is I've set our flow temperature on the boiler to 55 degrees. So basically the water running around the heating system is not 70, 80 degrees like your boiler can deliver. I've just got it set to 55 degrees. And as you can see, it's still 19 degrees in our home. And there's hardly any heat here, okay? It's just ticking over. Also, your thermostatic radiator valves are massively important. Now we have got the Honeywell home balancing thermostatic radiator valves. I've done a video on how to set these up and how to install them, so check that out. I'll put a link in the description below. Now this is my wife's dressing room, so this is set at number 5, but all the other rooms are all set at different temperatures. So the living room is set to 5, the dining room, the kitchen, that's set to 4. The bedrooms are set to 3, because I don't accept ours, I don't like a hot bedroom. Ours is 2-ish in the bedroom. So setting up your thermostatic radiator valves and using your time control and your thermostats correctly will save you a massive amount of money. Now, here's some energy saving tips which are actually nothing to do with your central heating system. Now, if you've got windows or patio doors and you're not getting any solar gain from the sun, then why not close the curtains, because it will help to keep the heat in. Keep your doors closed. Keeps the heat in the room. Wear multiple layers of clothing. Whichever room you're in, take the thermostat with you. Technically that is something to do with your central heating, but it'll also be there in the morning so you can up the temperature. Or if you're just going to be sat watching telly, get yourself a blanket or go to bed. Now, according to the Energy Saving Trust and Martin Lewis, they reckon the best way of saving energy is turn your heating off when you're not in the home. But there's a problem with that, because if your home temperature, your house temperature goes lower than 5 degrees, that means your pipes in your house are going to freeze. So most boilers, most newish boilers have built-in thermostats. So if the heating systems, the house goes lower than 5 degrees, it will either bring the burner on for a short while or it'll just circulate the pump. But that's only protecting the boiler, it's not protecting the house. So pipes could still freeze, hot and cold water pipes could still freeze in your house if you let your house temperature go lower than 5 degrees. Because water starts to freeze at 4 degrees centigrade. By the time it's reached 0, it's frozen. So another setback temperature you could actually use is 10 degrees. So you don't want your house going lower than 10 degrees. But if you then want your house to go up to 20 degrees, it's going to need more energy quickly to get you back up to the 20 degrees. And this is why we use 15 degrees, because our flow temperature is only 55 degrees, so it's going to take longer to get up. So we don't let it go lower, because we're only using a low flow temperature to get it back up to 19 degrees. Now, the lower you set this, the more energy you're going to save. So if you can manage to cope quite easily with 17, 18, 19 degrees in your house, you're going to save energy if you want to put it to 30 degrees. Just a couple of things before we go. Turning this up to maximum doesn't make this get hot quicker. This is your air temperature, not the temperature in the radiators. So this is monitoring your room temperature. Your boiler flow temperature is what makes this hotter. This, if you set it up to 30 degrees, won't make this get hotter, because this is your air temperature again, not your flow temperature or the temperature in the radiators. And the last thing, just because our radiator isn't banging hot doesn't mean our house isn't hot, because you can see we're at 19 degrees. It's this what makes this work. So because we've got a low flow temperature, we have a higher setback temperature. And this has been massive for us, because we're on LPG here and we have an LPG tank. So we have massively cut down how much gas we buy a year. It used to be 4 tanks a year, according to Cala, for the people who used to live here. But then when we've moved in, I've changed the boiler, I've put the Honeywell balancing valves on, we've changed the flow temperature, we've put a better thermostat into the house, we use the setback temperatures, and we have cut it down from 4 tanks a year to 2 tanks a year. So we have halved our gas bill. But that's what we do. Obviously, houses are all different. We're a bungalow, but loads of different types of houses in the UK. Insulation is key. if you've got no insulation, being able to set your setback temperature and your flow temperature to low might not work for you. A cold, damp house will lose more heat than a dry, warm house. The warmth is attracted to the cold. So if you've got a damp, cold outside wall, the heat in that room is going to go towards that cold wall. The last thing is, I wouldn't advise you to turn off rooms you're not in. So don't turn your thermostats all the way off on vacant rooms, because if you've got a warm room next to that room you're not using, that heat will transfer from that room into the one next door. So set your radiator thermostats to the correct setting for the correct room and heat all your house with a lower flow temperature and using your thermostat. Hopefully, like us, that will save you hundreds of pounds per year. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.